So, like I said, today is International World Birth Defects Day. And having this conversation with us is a lady that was here last week and shared her personal story with us. And she is also the founder of Tunu Africa. And she's not alone today because I'm a Kujana, head of research with Tunu Africa, Andrew Kamau, Esther Masika. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming again. And Andrew, thank you for being brought along this time. Did you get to watch the show last time?
Yes, I did.
She was here?
Yes, I did.
Oh, and there was the launch on the 28th. How was that?
That went really well. We thank God the attendance was full. We managed to raise a couple of funds. Yes. And of course, that account is still open to receive more. Many women were touched. Many stories were shared, especially with the chief guest who he's called Dr. Lance Mayabi, who was once like Tunu. And now he's got so many accolades at 35 years of age. Okay. So there's no limit to these children who've been born with birth defects.
Oh my goodness.
Sky is the limit.
Andrew, how did you get roped into this? Because she shared her story. She did. And we're just here. I have so many questions from that day. And I'm sure that this is the forum for that, but we'll try and see and sneak in a few. Yeah. But Andrew, how are you roped into this?
Well, having known Esther from way back, okay. And I heard what she's doing with Tunu Africa. I mean, I visited her when she had just given birth, and she shared her story with me, and that touched me. The passion she had to just understand first what she's going through and understand how she can impact other women, who are going through the same, and other caregivers. That's how I was roped in. So
okay, I think you sold into the vision. Like,
yes.
It wasn't like, you don't need to convince me, I'm in it. What do you need?
Yeah. Yes. He's being too modest. He has a medical background as well. So he's one of the people who I first reached out to when I was like, what is going on with my child?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So, Doctor, what is the title?
So, what happened is when Esther reached out, I visited Esther. I remember it was in the afternoon, and she was really, I wouldn't say distraught.
Yeah.
She was, she was just trying to understand herself.
Yeah.
Because and we speak with her, and every mother who has a baby doesn't anticipate that my child will have a congenital birth defect.
Yes.
So, walking with her slowly and saying, this is what we need to do. And also she would tell me, this is what my doctor said, what do you think? And we would discuss, and, I think it made, maybe she can say if it made it easier, or what that did for her.
Okay. Yeah. I think you did a good job. You're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And Tunu is a year old, so good job. Today is World Defects Day and Birth Defects Day. And I don't know what that means. Maybe you can just elaborate and probably even give us what the theme for this year is.
Okay, the theme for this year is many birth defects, one voice.
Isn't that what you're doing, though?
Yeah.
It is exactly what you're doing.
It's exactly what I'm doing. That's
Okay,
why I'm particularly passionate about this day. So it's a day that unites people and organizations in the field of birth defects. There are many types of birth defects. So today is a day where we have a collective voice on raising awareness on defects, their causes, and the impacts in the world. You see, there's a need for more opportunities to prevent birth defects through birth defects monitoring and research. When we know the causes that lie behind birth defects, then it leads to recommendations, it leads to policy, it leads to better services for those who are affected. So I would say that this day marks a very important day. I think most probably I feel like I'm the first one to ever sort of celebrate it in this country, because I went online and I'm yet to see one who has celebrated it. So I invite more people to celebrate this day. Birth defects affect babies regardless of where you come from, which part of the world you come from. Your ethnicity doesn't matter, your race doesn't matter. So it is a very important thing to know that these children are unique and they're here for a purpose. Okay. So we do our bit to help them out.
I have to be honest, I heard about this day for the very first time when you were here. Yeah. I had never heard about it before. There, you'll hear about the CP Day, which is very loud. I think I've even gone for a walk. CP Day. But is it thinking it, like this particular day was the very first time I had it. Now we cannot ignore the impact that yes, the child will be born with a congenital birth defect, but also the mother is affected. And you played a key role in helping Esther at that point. Well, Esther, you were helped, right? Yeah. You played a huge role, and especially that she was a first-time mom. What type of care, what kind of information is out there to help a mom who just wakes up and finds, okay, what is this? What are these names you're throwing my way?
That's an interesting question, and because Esther is here, I'll let her also talk about that, because she is the mother, and she actually will share her struggle with getting this information. I think we need a more centralized information and more palatable to people, because she, in my I mean, I have a medical background, but for her, she was struggling to find out, what's this? What's this doctor saying? Why does this name sound like all the letters of the alphabet and some characters juggled together? So I think what needs to happen is information needs to be given, and in a way that people will understand, and information to educate and not to alienate. Information that will actually educate the mother or the caregiver, because they're the one who are going to be with the child, and information that has an aspect of psychosocial care, because I think for Esther, a lot of that really helped her mental well-being into now being the mother that she is to Tuno.
Because I think the one thing that would happen is you even forget you're a mom, you try to become a doctor. Now I don't understand these things, what are you saying? So you have to deal with a lot at that point. How did you deal with it? I'm sure you mentioned a bit of it last week, but let's just have it again.
Okay, so one, it's important to acknowledge the loss, because you're a first-time mom. There's what you are expecting, this is what you've got. So it's okay to grieve the baby you are expecting, that particular loss. And while at it, try your best to get information. I was in a position where I felt I had to educate myself. And the best way I could do that, being, I can say, from a middle class background, I have friends who are doctors. So I reached out to Andrew, because he was the closest to me. And I would send pictures, because I can't remember the names that were being given for this particular thing. So I'm like, hey, here's a picture of the baby. What is this? What's going on? They're just telling me birth defect and, throwing big words at me. So there is a lack of patient-oriented clinical information, basically for somebody who doesn't have a background. Even if it was to show a diagram of, okay, this is clubfoot, it's week 1, it looks like this, it sort of explains the process of why you're going through what you're going through. So I felt like I was at the mercy of the doctors. So you're being told, you need to do this, you do. You need to do this, you do. Because you know no better. You know no better. You don't even know if they're doing the right thing. And like I mentioned, it took me 9 months to get a specialist clinic for them to be like, no, this has not been done the right way. And I'm like, right. So, beginning that process all over again, and
even raising your hopes up again. Because they're already up, and then somebody just shut them down. It's like you've not been doing anything.
You've not been doing
this. And then now you
right.
have to start again.
Yes. Does that mean there's no standardized way in Kenya for handling issues like clubfoot? But you see, now those things can only be discovered if there's intentional research that is being done to figure out, hey, why is this problem? But we don't have to get there. Can we deal with the preventative side first? Because there are things that mothers can do. When you have so many cases of birth defects arising, does it mean there's an emerging threat? Is it a signal of an emerging threat to mothers and children? And so we cannot keep ignoring this issue because, research does not show that. First of all, is the research being done?
That is the big question that we are asking today. If you have any questions, we have Andrew and Esther in the building. So send that in, 111 444 111. That is our SMS line. Our social media handle, Switch TV KE on Instagram, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mukali. We are talking about birth defects because today is World Birth Defects Day, and it's a day set apart to create awareness, show the impact, just have a conversation going about these defects because over 8 million babies worldwide are actually born with serious birth defects. And the question begs, when you were going through all of this, Esther, when you were pregnant, wasn't there a way, mothers go for they're called what? Prenatal?
Yeah.
The prenatal and their scans done. When they able to see that there's something that is not okay with baby Tuno?
So that's a very important question because, when you're going for your antenatal clinic, that is part of the journey to ensure that you go for your screenings to check whether the baby is sitting well, if the well-being of the child is, she's okay, her feet, her what. It's important to recognize that most kids, babies develop different parts of their bodies at different times,
Yes.
right? That's why those scans are important so that they can be able to see, oh, this is the 8-week scan, this and this and this should have been formed. In my case, one, I did not know that is what a scan was for, being a first-time mom. Mm-hmm. Secondly, when I did go for the scans, and I did go for all my scans, there was no report to indicate that there were any issues with my child. In fact, all the reports showed that all is well. There are no anomalies that have been detected or anything of the sort. Only until the last minute when they were like, the baby is in breach, this might have to be a cesarean section. And that was about it.
That's it?
That's it.
Andrew, is there something else that can be done in terms of prevention or just creating awareness that what we are expecting looks like this and we will need this and this immediately, and she shouldn't have to wait for 9 months to get proper care for the baby?
I think the things that need to be done is first to understand the prenatal process or the antenatal care. So basically it's about 4 visits and they're focused towards the needs of the mother. The outcome of this is so that you have a healthy mother and a healthy baby. That's the ideal outcome. So it involves, you can divide it into the first, second and third trimester, where in the first trimester you'll have scans, you'll have blood tests, you'll test for sexually transmitted infections, you test for malaria, you look at anemia, then you look at the mother's history. Has she been diabetic? Does she have a chronic illness, hypertension? So what you're doing is you're trying to score the mother's health and also according to a risk criteria, looking at, just to predict an outcome. It's also important to do a family history. So it's important to ask the mother, or important to ask Esther, so in your family, where your mom is from, are there these conditions, or have you seen this? Is there hypertension? Is there diabetes? Because there's women who develop pregnancy-induced hypertension. You see. So those are, you need to know the health status of someone, and sometimes these defects are detectable in the prenatal process, in the prenatal or maternal screening, So there's different things that you can do. You can assess the heart of the fetus when the fetus is still in the uterus.
Yeah.
There's different enzymes that you can look for. However, one important thing that I'd like to say is that when a birth defect is predicted, then that also helps with psychosocial support, because you need to prepare the mother and everyone around her, that this is really what you're going to be dealing with, because sometimes, for example, like Esther's case, she didn't know, and then it drops like a bomb, and you're like, okay, where am I? What do I do? Who do I need? And there's understanding the baby. There's understanding yourself.
So I think just to add on what Andrew is saying, the first trimester is actually the most important trimester in the entire pregnancy journey, right, Andrew? Because major birth defects occur during that time for the brain. It's for the brain and the major organs. That first trimester is the one. So when you're not in a position to know, you're expecting, unastukia too, you've missed your period, I think then is when you start rushing to go. But what have you been doing?
What
have you been doing before you found out? So you find many women are in a position where now they start living a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, all of a sudden.
All of a sudden. And starting to take their prenatal care all of a sudden, when they say that once a woman is of reproductive age, you need to have begun your folic acid, which is the biggest culprit why there are so many birth defects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what? Like,
Yeah.
so
it's not when you get pregnant, you start there.
okay, when you plan on getting pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah, before nianze kwenda kununua folic sahi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mentioned psychosocial support. Is it something that you got? Did you get that at all from the hospital that you gave birth in?
From the hospital, no, I can't say for real that I did, because even the way the news was broken down to me when I had given birth, it was more of, oh, your child needs surgery.
Oh.
And I'm like, surgery for what? You know? And they knew the position that my daughter was in. And when I was like, I need to go to NICU to check on my daughter, I went alone. So, and they knew what was lying ahead of me.
Nobody
So
prepared you for what you were about to
no.
see.
And even when I spoke to my mom, because she's one amongst the first people, she was there when I gave birth. So she's like, she wants to go and see the baby. They were like, hey, babe, toto sijui ni nini memfanya. So you've already started traumatizing my mother.
Yes.
And you know how mothers are.
Yeah.
So when they came to me, so how's the baby? She's like, no, she doesn't even know how to break this story down, because the way it's been given to her also.
Yeah, she doesn't even understand it.
Yeah, she was handed over like a case that is defeated. Like, oh, this child, what, you know, it's like, no, they don't even know what's going to be done. Now, when you tell a mother you don't even know what's going to be done, then
You're not even helpful.
yeah, you're not being very helpful.
You're
and then
not.
you already, that's where the stigma starts becoming, because this is someone now who's detaching themselves from this situation
Yes.
that you have to live with, as opposed to walking through with you. Because don't forget, unlike a normal pregnancy, I was in NICU, my baby was there for about 3 weeks or so. Some even stay longer. Right? And so I was not prepared for this whole NICU business and all this. Siku tatu, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then it so happens that I end up leaving the child in hospital. And it affects you psychologically, because now you're very blank, you feel very alone, you cannot understand what's going on with your baby. You're expected to have milk for the baby.
Yeah.
Where's the milk going to come from, Mukali?
If you are in that particular state
Where's
yourself.
the milk going to come from?
I think this is where like Tunu Africa comes in, because I am in the last time we spoke, it is creating sort of like connecting all these people together, mothers, wannabe mothers, and even these institutions that offer this help to this women and mothers and babies as well. Maybe you can give us a little bit more about that, on what like Tunu Africa will be doing to just sort of like step into the gap.
Okay, so Tunu Africa is taking the lead in creating awareness on congenital anomalies, their prevention, their detection, we're very big on that, and early treatment. Because you find when there's delayed intervention, then it leads to long-term disabilities, right? And right now there's already an increasing burden on child disability. You have very many kids who are living with birth defects or congenital anomalies that are correctable. You see, but they don't know that it's correctable, because society tends to deem these children as being, you know, disabled. Really, and really we need to look seriously into this word disabled, because I think it's been thrown around too, you know, very carelessly. And a mother who hears that word can just feel, okay, it's a done deal.
They
I'm
don't
not
even
going to
do
bother with
the
this.
extra, yes.
Yes, so we want to take the lead. Why? Because for the mothers to be there, steps you can take to minimize the risk of your child being born with a birth defect. And for those whose children have been born with birth defects, then we need, what we're trying to do as Tunu Africa is create a referral path for them. So we are working with different organizations, specialist clinics as well, who can then now come in and help the mothers out, so that there's no time lost. I lost 9 months. It doesn't have to be any other mother's journey, you see? So that is what we're trying to do. We are reaching out to the primary caregivers and encouraging them as they go along. Because Mukali, Tunu's journey will take me 5, 10, God knows how many years. I cannot put a limit on it, but you need strength for the journey, because relapses do occur,
Yes.
like in my case, where we had to begin the story once again. And then you find that they need strength because these children, because of stigma, some of them are hidden, some of them are neglected. So these children have a purpose on this earth. In fact, there is nothing like abnormality in a child. In fact, I find that word sometimes a bit too...
It's offensive.
Yes. They are unique children
Yeah.
in their own abilities. And I can tell you there are many who are out there. And as part of Tuno Africa, we are collecting stories of encouragement from those who've been through this journey, both from the care recipients and the primary caregivers, which would be a mother and a child. And they started off their journey like this. Where are they at now? Because mothers need to hear that story so that they don't miss that visit. They don't miss that crucial visit and things like that. So you find we're trying to avoid situations because they are invasive and non-invasive methods to treating or addressing congenital anomalies. So you don't want it to get to the surgery levels and more invasive methods that are being used. But that will occur if there's delayed intervention, because now here's a child who's grown. Right now, Tunu was manipulated. It's more manipulating the foot because their bones are still growing and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if you have something else.
Maybe just for you,
Yeah.
Andrew, are there, well, like in Tunu's case, we've seen the situation or the defect was or could be reversed. It could be corrected, rather. Do we have some birth defects that cannot be corrected?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. It's very dependent on the stage that you discovered this. There's several factors that can be taken into consideration. Take, for example, there are some congenital heart defects that can be discovered at birth, can be discovered, and also it depends on when they were discovered. So if it was discovered, prenatally, then they can a plan can be made, you see, to tackle this. We have defects like cleft lip, cleft palate. Those ones can be rectified, depending on the degree also. So it's to put it in a box. Yes, there are some that could be corrected, but there are some that won't be corrected, and there are some that are detected even in adulthood. You see, there are some that are even detected in teenagehood. You've had maybe children who there's something like what we call a septal defect. So that's basically a hole in your heart. So sometimes that when the child is 6 or 7, that's when people are, the child comes with symptoms of congestive cardiac failure or heart failure. The child is having difficulty to breathe, on exertion or even at rest, depending on the grade. So that, it depends on the screening, which is why at Tuno Africa we really are big on prevention. And every mother should, there's an acronym that is championed by CDC, and it's PACT. Every mother should make a pact with themselves. One is plan ahead. You need to plan. You need to know, okay, I need to visit the antenatal clinic. I need to get these tests done. I need to get my baby checked. The other thing is you need to avoid harmful substances. So if you're taking alcohol, you're smoking, you're taking recreation drugs, you need to stop that. The other thing is that you need to choose to live a healthy lifestyle. So increase your physical activity. Or you don't need to go and lifting weights and everything, but a walk, maybe to kind of not live a sedentary lifestyle. What you eat. That's another thing. And the last one, which is the last the T stands for talk to a healthcare provider as early as you can. I would advise, in fact, if you know you want to get pregnancy, media, start talking to a healthcare provider now. Start try to amend your diet, eat healthier, education, and just and medications. An important thing is that some women don't discover they're pregnant until they miss their period. So maybe you were on some medications that if not pregnant, you were okay. But then now that you're pregnant, you're like, okay, wait, I've been on my first trimester and I've been taking this.
Okay. I'm being told my time is up, but how can we be part of this, Jenny? Did you get the number last time? People are sending funds. Can we do that as well? And where do we send that?
Yeah, you're able to send that to paybill number 891-300, account 4667.
Just say that again.
Account number, I can also share that with you as well, just in case the nerves have checked in, but it's paybill 891-300 and account number 4667.
Okay. Thank you so much. And social media handle for Tuno Africa?
Is Tuno Africa. We are now on YouTube. My story is up. So Tuno Africa as well on all social media handles.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hi, Daisy here. Loving the show as we go on a break. It's very inspiring and educative. Say hi to my cousin, Esther. She is doing a very good job. And congratulations. Keep on keeping on. Thank you for coming again, Andrew, as well.
Asante.
We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Mukali.